Why would anyone who considers himself a Christian want to promote dinosaurs? This was a May 31, 2025 gathering of people, and I, second from the right here, wore a dinosaur tie. There it is right there. On top of that, I was one of the featured speakers. Now, the answer to the question is simple. Not only did Jesus speak about dinosaurs, he created every one. Read Job 40. Jesus, who created Adam and Eve, said, "Behold Behemoth." That's an earlier name for a dinosaur. "Behold Behemoth, which I made as you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold, his strength in his loins and his power in the muscles of his belly. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs like bars of iron." Behemoth was a dinosaur, and the Bible also speaks of dragons, which are also dinosaurs, I believe. The word dinosaur wasn't coined until around 1841. So what was my talk about? It was about a Christian release time program. And my contact information was given in the second line at the bottom down here on the poster. But I plan to give it here in this video too. The man to the right, speaking about this man, and below was the other featured speaker. He is in the bigger picture too, right follow the arrow. He's fifth on the right side. What follows is the presentation I shared with them on May 31, 2025. It was prepared for at the request of Aaron Bashir, Legislative Director, Office of Senator Douglas Mastriano, on the main Capitol building in Harrisburg. It relates to me, Paul G. Humber, 24 years of experience in and near Philadelphia regarding the Pennsylvania release time law. I have been involved off and on from 2001 to the present. Now, the Ten Commandments are good because they offer guidelines for respecting human life, property, relationship with God and man, and also expose our human disobedience and need for a Savior. This is a picture, a TV screenshot. There I am with Pastor Dirk, who is also pictured up here, and he was serving children of the Benjamin Franklin Elementary School for a number of years. The religion taught in many public schools by default is naturalism. Another name for naturalism is really atheism. The humanist manifestos, plural, reject the idea of a creator guiding the universe and embrace evolution, the imagined process by which all life has developed. It also gives students an excuse to reject God and do their own thing. Ten Commandment book covers were distributed by me and Pastor Spalding near City Hall. This was reported on Channel 10, Philadelphia. Both were religious release time pastors. Now here's an example of Ten Commandment lesson plan that could be given that facilitates the children learning the Ten Commandments. But evolution is a pseudoscience and full of fraud. It fosters the racism of Hitler and the slaughter of millions under Stalin. In our country, evolution gives an imagined justification for killing unborn babies. Some people imagine that the baby's ontogeny inside the womb is going through some evolutionary phylogeny. In other words, instead of aborting a human, you may only be aborting a fish or a reptile. Such is utter nonsense. Now, this is Pastor Slappy in the Philadelphia Inquirer article about him. And here's a color picture that I have of him. There he is right there. Pastor Slappy was escorting pupils from South Philadelphia to his church building, and the Philadelphia Inquirer reported his efforts. Somewhat positively, the article is entitled, Pennsylvania Law Ensures Students Can Get Religious Lessons. Now here are some of my books pointing out the fallacy of evolution, Reasons to Affirm a Young Earth. This is part 2. Here's the Evolution Exposed. Dr. Duane Gish is the one that wrote the foreword for that. Reasons to Reject Evolution. Now, Sabbath keeping is part of the Ten Commandments. Who should we believe, Creator Christ or Random House? Jesus never taught millions of years ago. In Exodus 31, he said, the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath. It is a lasting sign between me and the children of Israel, for in 6 days Jehovah made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. Jesus meant 6 days. How could the children of Israel keep the Sabbath, weekly Sabbath, if the days were actually thousands or even millions of years long? Should our faith be in Random House, the publisher of this book, or the Creator who was there and spoke? Why should very young children be brainwashed about the imagined millions of years? Those are the first words in this book. Millions of years ago, and no one was there. How do they know? I know that they have all kinds of arguments. But in those 2 books that I had, there are 110 reasons to reject or affirm a young earth, reject the old earth concept of millions of years. And including soft dinosaur bone tissue. How could they be millions of years old and so on? And there are 120. Most of them are scientific reasons. So Dante, listed here in the class, third name, he accepted Jesus at this school. This is the Mifflin School in Philadelphia. And he accepted Christ and was sharing his faith with his mother and so on. But then that summer, he died of an appendicitis. Now, what can this school say to a child that says, teacher, what happens when I die? Christian Release Time helps answer questions like that. Now, here's this is the Senate bill right here, 1949 and subsequent upgrades or whatever. But it says the superintendent of the school shall, upon the written request of the parent or other person in loco parentis, excuse any student who is a child of that parent or person in loco parentis for the school attendance for a total of period of 5 days or not more than 36 hours. So if it's 1 hour a week, it could be for 36 weeks of the school year. And this here is a blow up of this part of the Senate bill. And so it's legal. There's no problem that way. Now here is Christine Wigden, one of my co-workers and children in the class. This is a side view of Mifflin School. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but it shows you how it can happen legally in this country. Here's another class of students about to leave on the way to Galilee Baptist Church building, and they were coming from, at the time it was called Levering School. And there were 3 women, adult walkers, 1, 2, and 3, and I was the male. And I do recommend having a minimum of 2, 1 male, 1 female. This is from November 9th, 2017. Children lined up to enter the building here inside the class. So these classes started in 2002, I think. And so there's 15 years right there of activity in Philadelphia. About 20 schools, actually more than 20 schools in and around Philadelphia were involved. Now here I am standing beside the superintendent at the time, 2017. And here's the 10 Commandment book covers that we hand out to parents and so on. Getting to know principals is also key. I've met any number of principals in Philadelphia, and even with some have prayed with them in their office. But others are more resistant, and there's a lot that could be said about there. Here's a certificate of appreciation given to me for being the principal for a day. Here's a group of students about to leave for a release time class. This actually may be the first class that was released. That's 2002. The preparations for this happened earlier in 2001 and all. But and here is a letter sent to all the principals in 2011 by the assistant superintendent explaining explicitly about the legality and obligation not to obstruct the Pennsylvania law. And here's a sample of history from creation to the cross and to us. And there's a book that I authored explaining, giving 400 prophecies, foreshadowings, and appearances of Christ the Messiah in the Old Testament. So this is a very important thing for children to be able to learn about their Creator rather than thinking that they somehow evolved up from a little bit of ooze that oozed out of ooze millions of years ago with no direction, no intelligence, no nothing. There's huge design in all creation. And here's a series of lesson plans that I prepared, 26 lessons about Jesus, the Creator, God in human flesh, perfect man, only Savior. The children need to learn about the only Savior that is available. Christianity is the only religion where the Savior came alive again after being put to death. He has the keys of life and death. And we need to appreciate and learn about Christ, like Dante, who died that summer. This is a pastor, Ben Snodgrass, who was using these lesson plans for his group that he was leading at the Fulton School, which is sort of across the street from Germantown High School in Philadelphia. And of course, we even had classes there as well as other high schools in Philadelphia. Here's a Great Commission lesson plan that can be given to the students and helps them. Here's a picture of a release time class. They can learn about their Creator, the only hope. How beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. And Pastor Slappy, I may have been the pastor that was teaching that group. And this is the last slide, and you can find a YouTube where I am interviewed for about a half an hour on TV. And there is my email address there, paulhumber@verizon.net. You can search YouTube for that title, Release Time Opportunities for public school children.